Good afternoon, and welcome to our first Economic Empowerment Zone Seminar of 2022, brought to you by the African American Chamber of Commerce. I am Regina A. Hairston, President and CEO of the Chamber. Joining me from my team today is our Director of Membership, Engagement, and Programming, Ms. Whitney Harris. In partnership with Drexel University, the AACC is proud to host the Black Business Accelerator. This program is part of the Chamber's Reimagine, Reset, and Reinvest for a Sustainable Future series, which gives AACC members access to a collection of programs designed to engage, enlighten, and empower their business. Partnerships with organizations like Drexel University make programming like this possible to help advance and grow African American businesses in the region. For today's seminar, we had the pleasure to work with Alan Riddick at Drexel University. Alan is the Director of Supplier Inclusion. In this role, he is responsible for internal and external supplier diversity, local and small business inclusion and sustainability, alignment with Drexel's procurement services. Alan works to ensure equal and open contracting opportunities for small, minority, women, veterans, service disabled, and LGBTQ-owned businesses. Alan, thank you again for your leadership and making this program possible for our members. For you all that are joining us today, if you have questions during the presentation, please put them in the chat and we will do our best to get to all of them in the order they are received. Alan, thank you for joining us, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Regina. It is great to see everyone today. I see a lot of familiar faces. I see some new ones as well. We have an exciting webinar panel discussion today. I like to kind of consider it that we've kind of prepared a 3-course digital lunch for everyone today. This 3-course lunch is really going to start off first with what I like to call our main course, our entrepreneurs. We're going to get a chance today to really listen and hear from CEOs and owners of companies that for the last 2 years had to go through an extreme pandemic, and with the entire world changing. We're going to hear their story. We're going to hear what they had to go through, what they had to learn, what they adopted, ways that they changed to develop new strategies to allow them to be successful and grow during a pandemic. So we had 3 entrepreneurs with that. Then after our main course, we're going to switch back into our appetizer. Our appetizers are going to be 2 local diversity advocacy organizations that are going to be speaking about some of the resources that are available here now for you that are at no cost, free. But these particular resources, we as anchor institutions encourage diverse businesses like yourself to utilize. And then for dessert, we have what I like to call, our sweet dessert, which is how to get new business, who to speak to at large organizations to get new business. So today's is focused on 3 things: the right strategies, the right resources, and the right people to be able to grow your business in today's marketplace. So beginning again with our main course, I'm going to start off with our first entrepreneur, Leah Murphy. Leah Murphy is a certified professional career coach, sought-after speaker, and author located here in Philadelphia. Leah is president of Career Gems for the Journey, a boutique consulting-focused agency on supporting professionals to build thriving careers through strategy and calculated risk-taking. So although we can't have a big hand clap, let's have some kind of silent finger snaps for Leah Murphy today, guys.
Thank you so much, Alan. I appreciate it. So I'm excited to be here today, especially with this group, especially during Black History Month. So hopefully you guys can see a little bit of my Black History Month Black-owned business swag that I'm wearing here, a blazer from Deanna, just to show some love to some other Black businesses. So as Alan said, I'm Leah Murphy, and I'm the founder of Career Gems for the Journey, a boutique coaching and strategy consultancy. And we serve as consultants for universities, corporations, as well as professional organizations across the US, concentrated in Philadelphia. So like many other sectors, we're seeing major shifts in my industry, driven by the pandemic and the subsequent Great Resignation. However, I don't like to call it the Great Resignation because it just doesn't have the right pull, right? I like to call it the redistribution of talent, because we're seeing major shifts of power go from institutions and professional organizations down to individuals, and individuals have the benefits of choice. So employees are working through how they work today, what returning to work in person may look like, remaining remote, or maybe even a hybrid mix of the two. And there's a new career landscape that goes along with that. And employers are focusing on attracting great talent, retaining their high performers, because we need to keep the great people who are in the organization in there, and also trying to run a business. So that leads us to the intersection where Career Gems for the Journey sits. And our mission is to really equip our clients with what they need to navigate this new normal, including the strategy to make sure that they can win in a talent marketplace. Because honestly, what I've learned in the pandemic more than anything is people are the heart of every business, right? We didn't know what essential workers were before essential workers got defined for us in the pandemic. So tapping into people is how we move businesses forward. Women and other underrepresented groups transitioning from college into the workforce, those early in their career still navigating those early roles and assignments, and individuals who are making significant career pivots need career coaching more than ever. So I'm really here to help businesses achieve their goals through helping individuals reach their full potential. So for me personally, after nearly 2 decades in corporate America, I learned that there's a clear formula for a thriving career, success, right, as we define it in corporate America. There's some people who get lucky, and those people don't look like me. And then there's the people who manage to put together a strategy to thrive in their career. So once I learned that strategy, proved it with my own career, replicated it multiple times with my own mentees and small focus groups, it was up to me. And I knew that there was an opportunity for me to really add value to universities, professional organizations, as well as companies, and impact the careers of others at the same time. So that really became my passion, and that's where we are today. So women and other underrepresented groups benefit from working with someone like me because I intrinsically understand their lived experiences, as well as their professional experiences and what they're navigating in the workplace. So just a little bit of data here. According to the Pew Research Center, women in the US are currently outpacing men in college graduation rates. So now is really the time to support those women and underrepresented groups really to thrive in the workplace as we shift and give them the resources they need to be successful. And I propose that we do that through cohort coaching programs. So I want people to be able to do great work. I want them to be able to deliver exceptional results, but I want them also to feel like their employer is simultaneously compensating them appropriately, which is key. And then they made a great investment in their education that they choose, whatever it is, whether it's undergraduate, post-secondary education, or any other form, trade school, you name it. So I have some great assets that we've been able to build through the pandemic that really required us to pivot, right? As we moved to a completely virtual model, there were some assets that became really necessary. So we started a podcast, the Career Gems for the Journey podcast, so we could distribute free material on career and professional development to as many people as possible. And that's available wherever podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Music, Spotify, you name it, we're there. And then we also were able to put together an ebook during the pandemic to really help people as they were transitioning into new companies, making significant career pivots, to negotiate for compensation, to learn the skill of negotiating for compensation as they're switching industries. So that book is Salary Power Moves, Winning the Compensation Negotiation, and that's available on our website. So those two assets have really helped us to reach a broader audience and also helped us to focus a little bit more narrowly on partnering with universities, professional organizations, and companies. So I'm really excited for the opportunity to think more broadly, right, of the way we see careers and the way we support people as they're navigating their careers. So I'll just talk a little bit about some of the strategies that I have implemented during the pandemic, if that's okay with you, Alan.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So some of those strategies that I've used to grow my business during the pandemic really is opportunities like this, connecting through really intentional partnerships, right? So this opportunity to be able to multiply the exposure and the impact that I'm able to garnish through my podcast or through my website or through any of the speaking events that I already do, looking for opportunities like partnering with the Drexel University and the African American Chamber of Commerce is a real accelerator opportunity for me. The other one is I really did do the work to leverage data and insights to understand the really evolving landscape. This has been a slippery experience, right? As soon as we think something is solid and we're confident in it, something changes, right? There's a stat that's really well treaded now that 400,000 people left their jobs in September of 2021 alone. Unprecedented shifts in the industry. So keeping track of that data and really bringing in a team of folks who have really great data, understanding, and experience, as well as some expertise in the career space has really helped us to evolve and narrow our offerings so that we can speak to that community specifically at this transitional time. And then the last one, and I'll pause to allow a little bit more dialogue, is I narrowed my niche, right? So I started out in an organization focused on really executive coaching. After spending a long time in corporate America and spending lots of time being an advisor to CEOs and CFOs, I thought executive coaching is where I wanted to really invest. But through the Great Resignation, through the pandemic, what I learned is there is going to be a challenge with companies bringing talent into their organizations and being able to run their business successfully. So I made the conscious choice to say, we need to focus on early career, right? And focus on people coming out of college, making that career transition. And then folks who are doing significant pivots, right? Leaving industries, moving from academia into tech, moving from tech into manufacturing, moving from manufacturing into the arts and sciences. All of these things require support during these kinds of complex transitions in order for folks to be successful. So those are the areas where I spent some really intentional time reframing the strategy based on what I was seeing in the data from the pandemic.
And Leah, can I ask you one question? Because one thing that I want to share that you did a phenomenal job of, and it's no secret, we were able to get a potential possible business relationship going on with Drexel that's still being foreseen, but you did something different that a lot of different suppliers do. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I certainly can. So in thinking about growing my network and being really intentional about the partnerships and the relationships that I seek, Alan, as a supplier diversity expert, right, in the Drexel University institution, there were a lot of opportunities where I was speaking to individual schools, maybe the business school, maybe the School of Engineering, maybe the School of Psychology, or life sciences. So working with Alan directly and asking him explicitly, these are the people at Drexel University that I think can benefit from my services, and here's why, right? So I spent a lot of time leveraging LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is our friend in the career space, and doing a lot of research to make sure that what I was offering as a company was solving a problem for those who were inside of the institution, right? And institutions need to be able to graduate their students and place them in organizations, right? It benefits the individual. Now they have a job. Now they're placed, now they're building their life, they're moving into the next phase. But for the university, it also benefits them to have alumni who are in a position to be able to help more students come into that organization, to donate back to the organization, right? And then to also be able to build partnerships and help to build relationships so that more research can be done and more funding can be exchanged. So I did that work to make sure that I was really intentional once I had Alan's attention, to make sure that there were lots of people who were clear targets for me that could benefit from the work that I was doing, and I could solve a problem for them. So I believe in really mutual beneficial, successful relationships. And I believe the only way for them to be successful is that they're mutually beneficial. So doing that research, making sure that I was clear on who my client was and who I could serve successfully really helped me to then navigate to meet with some of the right people. And to Alan's point, begin to negotiate some relationships that are going to be ongoing with Drexel University as a result of that research.
And speaking from someone on the purchasing side or the anchor side, is that we love suppliers that do their homework because it makes our job that much easier. Leah, thank you so much today. I really appreciate you sharing your strategies, sharing some of your top secrets that most business owners feel a little uncomfortable sharing, but it's always for the common and greater good.
Alan, if I can just say one more thing.
Sure.
There's room out here for all of us to win. And that's kind of the model that I use when I'm thinking about partnerships. And that's why mutually beneficial arrangements are so important to me, because I think that there is so much opportunity for us as businesses and for larger institutions, private as well as public institutions, to partner, because there's lots of complex problems out there that need to be solved. So if my business can help to solve a problem and we can continue to help to grow what Drexel University is doing and other institutions, that is a mutually beneficial arrangement. And it's better for the city of Philadelphia, right? Which is a city that I love and personally am connected to. So I think I love that you were willing, right? I love that you were open. And I also love that you're giving entrepreneurs this platform and this stage to really showcase their talents, as well as explore the opportunity to build new relationships. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And now moving to our next entrepreneur, we're going to continue to learn more and more different strategies that entrepreneurs are using. Rashaan Howard. Rashaan Howard is a 12-year financial professional, author, community advocate for economic equality, and a host of finance-based cooking show as well, which I am connected to on your Facebook page, called Connected Cooking. Rashaan is a former D1 track and field athlete at LaSalle University, where he graduated with his BA in accounting and now serves as a member of the Atlantic 10 Conference Commission on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Introducing Rashaan Howard, CEO of Rashaan LLC. How are you, Rashaan?
If only I can find my mouse so I can get on screen, that would be great. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you, Alan. Thank you. I'm doing great.
Well, Rashaan, thank you so much for coming out today. One of the reasons I thought about you is because you are what I call a CGPT. You are a connector of good people together. You connect good people together. So if you don't mind, share everyone a little bit about Rashaan LLC, a little bit about yourself, and also tell everyone what the heck you've been doing in the last 2 years to help yourself continue to grow during these hard and stressful times.
Definitely. So a little bit about myself is really one phrase, right? I'm an advocate for economic equality. I am a financial planner. That is my trade. That is my practice. That is what I do for a living. But every other thing that I do, whether it be an extracurricular activity, community events, or the organizations that I created or am involved in, has to do with building generational wealth, ensuring that our generation behind us, our youth, has the proper knowledge, tools, and resources so they can actually gain the opportunity to understand what financial literacy is and build and grow and be empowered to do more. So that's a little bit about who I am. And that really has a lot to do with what Rashaan LLC is. You know, when we look at Rashaan LLC, again, I'm in the finance world. So, finance people like acronyms, whether we're accountants or financial planners, you know how we are with our acronyms. So Rashaan stands for strength, hope, opportunity, and nourishment. But in a nutshell, what we do is we assist young adults and children, grades 6 to 12, identify and get empowered through financial literacy and entrepreneurship opportunities. And what I love about the work that we do through Rashaan LLC, it's not really about me, the CEO. It's about the people behind the company. We employ and intern high school seniors and college students to run the company. Actually, right now, my chief marketing officer is a college junior at Bloomsburg University. Again, it's about creating a place where we can build generational wealth, but also close that wealth gap. And unfortunately, or fortunately in this world, we understand that our income in a lot of ways can be connected to titles that we've had in the past and experiences. So why not give our young adults the experience and the titles while they're still in school learning? So that way, when they get in the workforce, they have the opportunity to gain max income and ability. So that's a little bit about Rashaan LLC, Alan, and myself.
Thank you, Rashaan. Can you kind of dig into what the pandemic, or I guess when the pandemic hit, what it was like for you and how did it change your business?
Definitely. And what you're going to hear from me over and over and over again is what I call the 3 C's to success. Not keys to success. They're definitely keys, but the 3 C's to success. And what that is courage, confidence, and consistency. And so with everyone who is on this panel, and even with you guys who are out there in the crowd and so many others, the reality is the pandemic was an opportunity. And I know when Alan was preparing us for today's event, he was like, I need you guys to be prepared to tell us the secret sauce. What's the secret sauce? What's the secret sauce, right? Well, one of the things I want to share with you guys is what the secret sauce should be in whatever you do, whether it be business owners, entrepreneurs, whether you want to move up in the corporate world, whether you want to go back to school, whether you want to just change your lifestyle, is looking at fear in two different ways and making the choice. Now, this is not my quote, but I want to share this, guys, with you. There's two definitions of fear. One is forget everything and run. And the second definition is face everything and rise. When the pandemic hit, we had a choice to forget everything and run and be still. Or we had a choice to face the pandemic and rise above it and use it as an opportunity to grow. The pandemic has created more millionaires and billionaires than any other time in this world. And those people who were able to become millionaires, become successful, become billionaires, is because they faced everything and they rose. They had the courage to take the first step, to work in their passion, to do what it was that they really loved doing. And for me, I really love teaching financial literacy, whether it be on a one-on-one basis with my clients or whether it be in a classroom with our young children and young adults. It's taking the passion and facing everything and rising, understanding where the pain points are, what we were going through as a people, and helping to teach and get us out of that with knowledge and resources. And so, that was the start of things, Alan, where I really had to sit down and say, Rashaan, well, which choice are you going to make? And then that second C is confidence. I've been told so many times over and over and over again, especially as business owners, we can't think people are going to believe in us if we don't believe in ourselves first. So we have to believe in who we are and what we're doing and what we're offering and what service we have and what ability we have to give in order for others to believe in it too. And there's going to be ups and downs. There's still ups and downs. But we have to believe in the reason why we did that. Understand what our why behind our start was and keep going. And trust that our skill and our ability will get us through. So having the courage to start and the confidence to believe in yourself. But most importantly, we have to be consistent. One of the worst things we could do as business owners and entrepreneurs, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. And I love that Leah talked about narrowing her niche because that's some secret sauce, okay? That's how you become a successful business owner. But one of the worst things we could do as entrepreneurs is today, I'm a hairdresser. Tomorrow, I'm a cook. The next day, I'm an accountant. The day after that, I'm selling life insurance. I'm always doing these different things because people are watching and they want to support you. But if you're not showing that you are becoming an expert in that field, how can I support you? Or worse, what if you just are strictly an accountant and you want to gain business, but you're not advertising or marketing or showing your ability or getting the testimonies that you need, and you're silent. So first I see you this month, but then I don't see you for another 7 months. And then you pop up on that 9th month. I didn't know you were still doing that. I didn't know you were still in that field. I thought you gave up, right? Because the reality is most businesses don't last past the 3rd year, especially if they can't go through the first 12 months. So the third, and in my opinion, most important is be consistent with your business. Be consistent with marketing your business. Be consistent with telling people what you do and how you do it. What is your 30-second commercial? What is your elevator speech? So, over the pandemic, again, I had to sit down just to reiterate and say, hey, am I going to face everything and rise, or am I going to run? And so I decided, go ahead.
And Rashaan, your business is a people business.
Yes, it is.
how did you adapt and adopt no longer being able to meet people face to face? How was that a challenge for you, and what did you do to work around that?
So inside joke for the panelists he was on before everybody started, Zoom. Y'all know exactly what I'm saying. I became Zoom proficient, right? In a lot of cases, for entrepreneurs and business owners, you have to be innovators, right? You have to be able to think outside the box. You have to be one step ahead of the game. And the reality is, you know, I was blessed by having a pandemic because I was already looking at moving my practice to Zoom. I was already looking at virtual options. I was already working on, you know, multiple ebooks. And so to answer your question, Alan, it's again, being confident and courageous enough to understand what the people need and how we need to get out to the people. And Zoom and ebooks and virtual events and webinars before we all got zoomed out, right, was the thing to do. Everybody was home, and actually, I do have a full suit on today. It's not just the top, but we know all the memes, right? You just put the suit and the button up on, and you got on shorts or night clothes or pajamas at the bottom. I actually do have the full suit on today, ladies and gentlemen. But it's just sitting back at times and just watching for a little bit. And the reality is, Alan, in the first month of the pandemic, that month of March and April, I did what we call social media cleanse. I didn't delete my social media. I stopped posting and I just started watching. I started watching what people were doing. I started watching what people were looking for. I started listening to what my clients wanted in their emails, in our meetings. And then I did my best to deliver that 300%.
Got it. Well, one of the things that you had touched upon was really about confidence. And coming from the anchor space and on the buyer side, I can't tell you how many times I hear, hey, Alan, I know you don't want to hear from another staffing company, but I'm a staffing company. And so already you're putting it negative out there that I don't want to hear what you have to offer.
Yep.
And so I can definitely speak on confidence. And one of the other things I said is that I'm just going to give everyone out there common knowledge of the businesses that are successful and get the contracts. They're very good at staying in contact at least once every 90 days.
Yes.
And so I adopted a model called the QFR, the quarterly friend review. Switch it from the QBR, the QFR, the quarterly friend review, and be able to understand about if you can find ways to connect with someone once every 90 days, then that person is going to be keeping you in mind for the next opportunity that they have in their mind.
100%. Yep. And to add to that, naturally, we're programmed to say no, right? Mm-hmm. But we also don't like saying no multiple times to the same person. And so typically we might say no twice, but when it comes to that third no, just because we don't want to say no again, we're going to say, you know what? I'll try it. I'll check it out. What do you got for me? Because it's so much of an emotional drain to continually tell somebody no. So if you stay in front of them professionally and positively, you're going to get a couple no's. But when you get that no, get more excited, because an old mentor a long time ago when I first got in this business said to me, every no gets you one step closer to that yes, because the numbers always add up and the numbers always come out.
Mm-hmm. But Rashaan, a prime example of that is that we've known each other for 2 years. We still haven't done business together yet, but every time we talk and we get a no, I give you a yes.
Yep.
Hey, Alan, do you know someone over at Pgw? Yes. Do you know someone at X, Y, and Z who might be looking for these services? Yes.
Yep.
And so turning a no into a yes is definitely a secret sauce.
Definitely.
Well, Rashaan, it's great. It's great speaking with you today. Do I believe you that you don't have the pajamas pants on? No, I'm just joking.
It's true. It's really true.
Okay.
It's really true.
We're having fun here. Rashaan, thank you so much. We're going to move right along to an entrepreneur by the name of Dana Herbert. Dana Herbert is the owner of Desserts by Dana, resides in Bear, Delaware. Chef Herbert, that's right, he's a chef. Chef Herbert lives and breathes in the sweet and artistic world of pastry art, where flavor and color come to life in his wonderful wedding cakes, sugar sculptures, custom cakes, and tasty miniature desserts for all occasions. Dana is an expert sugar artist with a number of nicknames. He is best known as the Sugar Daddy because of his work with pulled and brown and blown sugar, but is also known as Delaware's King of Cakes. Chef Herbert has garnered a lot of attention for his big win on Cake Boss, The Next Great Baker, a hit show on TLC, which premiered in December 2010. Introducing Dana Herbert, everyone. Let's give him some finger snaps. Dana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Alan. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. And Dana, I understand you actually have a video that you want to play for everyone's first, right before you get into sharing your secret sauce.
Correct. Dana. I had the pleasure of competing on Next Great Baker. I won season 1, so I'm the season 1 champ. And from there, Buddy Velastro, he invited me onto Cake Boss. So I got to make some really cool cakes with Buddy and his team at Carlo's Bakery. Even some of the executives at TLC said some of the cakes that we made were like top 5 all time for Cake Boss. So it was awesome. Television and media has been awesome for me. It's been awesome for Desserts by Dana. It really put me on my A game, made me sharpen, my skills, made me faster, smarter, more resilient. It definitely let the world see what I was doing. It was amazing to be on my social media and, you see certain part of the countries kind of lighting up on your statistics, but when you saw countries like Brazil, Russia, different parts of Africa lighting up on the screen, it was amazing to know that all these people around the world could really see what I was doing. Being on Dessert Professional magazine and gracing the cover, it was totally a surprise. It was an honor. They kept it from me for a long time. I had no idea that the magazine had even contacted my people here at the shop and gotten my pictures. And, so when I saw the magazine came out, I was like, oh my gosh, that's me on the cover. And they were featuring my work. So it was amazing. Being named top 10 cake designers in America was truly an honor to know that, your peers were really watching your work, really valued the time and effort that you were putting into the industry. It's hard to even really put words to it. It's like there are so many cake designers out there in America. I mean, you go on Facebook and Instagram, and there's cakes everywhere. But to be in the top 10, in the country, that was truly amazing. Wow, who was the catalyst for me getting into this crazy business? I would definitely have to say I blame it on my grandmother. She is an awesome cook. I found myself sitting at the edge of her counter when I was growing up, praying that she'd throw me the beater from the bowl or that she would give me those cookie scraps, from when she was baking. So it's definitely grandmom's fault that I'm in the business that I'm in. I love food. I love making cakes. I got into cakes really because of the art. When I was in culinary school, the savory chefs, they would tell me, you can't do certain things or use certain colors, but then you look to the right in the other classroom and they're using all the colors and all the things that your teacher just told you couldn't do. So that's kind of how I got into cakes, kind of like an egg, cracking that egg. The magic is never in the shell, but it's always in the yolk. So that's how I delved into the world of cake design. I love wedding cakes, one, because, I get to work with my clients. I get to design something that's personal. Even if they bring in a picture of something, I still get to tweak it and make it their own. So it's not like it's a carbon copy of someone else's, wedding cake. The second reason I love to get into wedding cakes is because they get remembered. When you think about a wedding, there's maybe 3 pictures that come to mind. One would be mom and dad at the altar. 2 would be their first kiss. And 3 is them cutting the cake. After that, nobody's thinking about that fruit and cheese platter or those flowers that were on the table. It's really about the celebration. of the event, and I get to live on throughout the years.
That is awesome. Dana, you have been very, very busy the last few years, haven't you?
Yes. It's been a whirlwind. That's all I could say.
So I've heard some recent news, and but let's start first with March of 2020. Where were Desserts by Dana as a business, and what were some of the pain points you immediately felt during the pandemic?
Alan, I must say myself, like a lot of small businesses, when March 15th came and, in my state, they were making that announcement that we were shutting down, I was like, yeah, okay. When has America ever shut down for anything? Ebola didn't do it. SARS didn't do it. I'm like, no, it's not happening. Well, on March 15th, when I got to the shop, and I looked outside, and the other like 6 shop owners are all out there on the sidewalk, and we see just one car go by. About 8 or 9 minutes later, another car. That's when I think it really hit, like, okay, we're really in the midst of something, because my shop's on a very busy highway, and for one car to go by, we're like, okay, it's serious. So using that word that Rashaan used, there was probably some fear there. Like, how are we going to adapt to this? How are we going to make it? How long is this really going to last? We've never been through something like this, not in my lifetime. So those were some of the feelings I was having, and, some of the challenges that were going on, I think, was one with my staffing. We are very much family oriented here. And as a boss, this is something that maybe employees don't always think about, but we sit up sometimes at night and say, okay, how are we bringing in additional funds, because this person and this person and this person count on me to feed their family. And what are we going to do now when you're looking at the register and you've only had $100 come through in the whole day? That's a problem. Some of my other ones, we're looking at some of the contracted business that I had with some of the venues, and just going into that file drawer and saying, okay, well, let's pull this $50K worth of business out, because we know that's not happening in the next 90 days. It's out of here, for weddings and stuff. Are we even going to get those funds? Are they going to reschedule? Some of that stuff just didn't come back. And then we had to look at our retail sales. The retail sales were plummeting. Everybody was afraid to come out of the house. So we were getting hit from every angle possible, Alan, when that first happened.
Yeah, and one of the things that I didn't even realize until I even started to talk to certain business owners was that there was a fear that for the people who you had receivables with, whether you were even going to get paid.
That is correct.
So it's definitely. But during that particular time, you've made a lot of progression in the last 2 years. What are some of I guess the strategies or events that or thinking that you've had that allows you to shift?
Sure. There were a few things I did, Alan, that really helped me get through. I had to look at, when the money slows down, you can look at that as a real opportunity to look at where are the holes in the boat. See, when the money's flowing and it's flowing heavy, you don't see that crack that's down there, and some of your funds are trickling out over here, or some of your funds are trickling out over there, because there's so many funds moving. You're just like, I'm good. But when things like this happen, then you're like, well, wait a minute, am I really getting the ROI? Oh, I'm saying acronyms like Rashaan was saying. Am I really getting the return on investment here that I'm doing with my marketing over here? Or am I getting the return on investment there? Is it even yielding any fruit? Because sometimes we have this idea like, oh yeah, we've been trained, I have to do it like this. And then because I do it like this, and this is going to happen. But I think everyone's business can be unique. There are some underlying principles, yes, but you have to really know your skill, know your passion, know your craft, and say, this is what works for me. The second thing I had to look at was what do people really want? And it sounds crazy, but honestly, in the beginning, they wanted safety. They wanted cleanliness. They wanted to know, hey, if I come get desserts from you, am I going to be good? And so we had to look at delivery services or offer when people came to pick up, they could just pull up, pop their trunk, we put it right inside or something like that. And then we had to look at what they wanted to buy. They were buying smaller items now. Nobody was having big parties. And so that's kind of where we had to focus our sales. The third thing really was, I go by that mantra, you have not because you ask not. And pride always comes before the fall. So you have to be willing to open your mouth and say, this is what I need, or can you accommodate this, or can you accommodate that? I remember calling the bank and saying, okay, look, I have a loan, there's a pandemic. What are we doing? And they were like, you know what, you're one of the first ones to even make this phone call. So we actually appreciate you as a businessman stepping up and saying, okay, well, what are we doing? Luckily, my brother, he works for a bank. So I kind of have an idea of with loans and how they work and this and that. So I just offered, I said, listen, what if I pay you the interest from that monthly? And we just figure out what we're going to do with the other portion on the back end or something like that. And as soon as I said that, they were like, all right, we can work with you on that. So we're still going to get our interest portion, so they still get their profit, and then we'll deal with the other part. And so that was one of the strategies that we did. It helped lower the monthly expenses greatly that we would still have to shell out, because there was no relief for leases for businesses. You had that forbearance for mortgages and things like that, but when it came to the lease and dealing with the landlord, there wasn't any. So we had to get creative with other means and other things in the budget that we could lower those expenses just so we can kind of get through and survive and so forth. And then the other thing that I did, honestly, was, it sounds funny, but I got quiet. I found that when I got quiet, and when I say quiet, that doesn't mean I wasn't marketing or advertising, but me as a person, as myself, I got real quiet. And I would just go into my prayer closet and I would just say, okay, you know what's going on, big guy. So here's my questions. And I would just have a pen and pad there. And I would just ask my questions out loud. And whatever was coming to me, I felt was spiritual. And I would just write it down. And then oftentimes when I would come out of there, I'd be like, whoa, this is some good stuff. I never would have thought of this. And so some of the things that, they had me doing, like had me apply for the PPP, the first draw. The challenge with the PPP in the beginning, especially as a small business, some of the items they required in there, a lot of small businesses don't think about and have on hand, where some of the larger corporations, their finance people or controllers or so forth, they have those things in their office just ready to go. So my first round, I didn't get it. But when they were ready to, and I say first round, that first wave of it, when they opened up more funds, I was right there poised, ready at that point. So I got the first PP, second PPP. But in being quiet, I noticed in the strategy for some people, if you haven't submitted your stuff yet, I looked at the covered weeks and I got that unction where, when the funds were used up, I was ready to submit my letter and to get it forgiven. And I felt that, oh, wait a minute, read the directions again. And I analyzed it closely and I said, oh, I see what you're saying. Go the full 24 weeks, because if I did it in 8 weeks and I turned it in, I would wind up having a loan because the expenses weren't high enough to cover some of the things on there. The payroll wasn't high enough. So just things like that. I got quiet and I listened. And because of that, the things I think Alan was alluding to that have just been blowing up during this pandemic was that, let's see what I get. Ended up, I know it's all due to him, but I ended up getting a new truck. He kept telling me get the truck. Got a new truck, paid cash for it because of the amount of business that was coming in. Got a new TV studio. with Netflix ready cameras, 4K. So I can go to any streaming platform and sell to those streaming platforms like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon. And that TV studio was just totally free. I walked into a store one day and he said, talk to her. So I talked to her. And by the time I left, they said, yeah, we'll cover the whole kitchen. So, you know, that was like a $75,000 conversation that I just walked out with a TV studio. So there's been a lots of things going on. Opened a new location a few weeks ago at the University of Delaware, which is going great. And they're talking about scaling it to other universities right now. The food service company that we're going through there. So the possibilities are there. My thing is that everybody has something beautiful and special inside of them. I believe that if you don't get it out, you're actually robbing the world, your local community of the blessing that's inside of you. So my mantra is I want to die on E. Die on E as an entrepreneur, as a husband, as a father, as a community advocate. Die on E.
This is phenomenal. And, you know, Dana, one of the things that you said that really kind of hit me was when you said you had to be quiet. And when you said that you just had so much going on, it was just too hard to really focus and think straight during your day-to-day activity. So I assumed that quiet time was with you being alone, you really thinking, and that's the strategic thinking that business owners have to do, which is why I say it's great it's great being in your business, but it's also even better at times to be outside of your business, and why you have to be around other different thinking type of people to start to see different type of ways. And even, you know, everyone always talks about how your network is your net worth, but you know, if you can be around other entrepreneurs that may be into different business lines to help and maybe have been in business longer than you have, they then can be your mentors during times where you may need help in getting to the next level. So Dana, I wish you all of these success in the world. I'm super excited that of trying to work and get Drexel tied closer towards Desserts by Dana. So really just again, congratulations on all the success you had, and particularly for one thing that I can see is that, and that I take away, is the importance of being quiet when everything is moving fast.
Yeah, I mean, if I could leave anybody with anything, I always say it's better to be led. You know, on the outside, it looks like I'm quarterbacking this thing, you know, but in reality, I'm really just wide receiver. I'm getting the ball tossed to me. And we can kind of get to that level of understanding of just who you are and how this thing works. I think I'm not going to say it's impossible to be successful, but your chances for success are 10 times greater.
Thank you so much. And you know, this is today with Leah, Rashaan, and you. This has turned into entrepreneurial gospel today. You know, I'm hearing nothing but positive energy.
Leah hit it right on the head when she said, you know, there's enough out here for everybody. I don't look at there being competition. I look at it like I got to level up, because I know there's something special in me, but I got to harness it and bring it out. And so in bringing it out, I know that my family's going to be fed and my employees' families are going to be fed. But I don't have to go and cannibalize anybody's business or anything like that at all.
So thank you so much, Dana. And ladies and gentlemen, we have finished our main course, and now we are getting to our appetizer, particularly from a standpoint of, you know, first we talked about three things: strategy, resources, and the right people. Right now, we're going to get into the right resources. Introducing next up, I have Kenyatta James from Page, Philadelphia Anchors for Growth and Equity. Kenyatta James is an entrepreneurial and community organizer who brings 8 years of human-centered design experience to the Economy League. Kenyatta is excited to bring his skill sets to Page to increase opportunities for Black entrepreneurs in the Philadelphia area. Kenyatta's primary role as the business engagement manager will be the development of Page Prep, which will be Page's curated boutique consulting services for Black and Brown businesses. Let's give some big, strong finger snaps for Kenyatta James today, guys.
It's funny, my family is Quaker. So if you know anything about Quakerism, they're like quiet worship. So people always do like this thing when they want to clap, but don't want to be loud. So the finger snaps vibe very closely with what I'm used to. It's been really pleasant to have. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Page. So when it comes to finding resources, you know, Philadelphia, I think, has historically been a little bit of a fragmented place for our small business community, especially our minority business community. There's resources out here, but it's hard to find out which resource you need for the thing that you're trying to accomplish. And we at Page are hoping to play a little bit of a coordinator role to eliminate some of those barriers, but we're also a very specific resource. We help small businesses in the region work with big institutions. So whether that's, you know, my fellow supplier diversity professionals on this call, like Alan and Marcia, or that sometimes it's the facilities people, the construction people, the catering people, the public safety people. There's a bunch of people at these organizations that make these buying decisions. And it's our job to make sure that they know about your business, basically. So when you are out and you're like, hey, you know, it would be great if I could get more consistent work, or you feel like your business has grown to the point where you can work with these institutions, either you can try to cold call every single one of these institutions, or you could reach out to me or to one of my coworkers, and we could figure out who is the right connection for you, and then connect you directly with that group. And hopefully within their buying window as well, we get some behind the scenes information about what contracts might be coming up in the next couple of years that we can help prepare you for. And then when it comes to the consulting services, we also help you navigate, right? Because selling to an institution is completely different to any other type of business ever. You know, I was an entrepreneur before I did this, and I worked a lot with small firms. My firm did digital media. So we worked a lot with like architecture firms. We worked a lot with real estate agents, you know, doing houses. We did 3D video, all this sort of stuff. And it was really great. And then we got our first contract with Chop. And that was completely different. The sales process, the amount of time it took to get the contract, the feedback in the sales process. You know, when you're talking to a small business owner, and you're trying to sell them something, you get some vibes in that conversation of like, oh, that sounds really good. That's interesting. Oh, I can see how that would help me. When you're talking to these institutional people, no offense, Alan, but stone face, just, okay, well, we have a couple more questions. All right, we'll email you. Thank you. And that makes it really difficult to know where you are in that process, if you're a good prospect. And many times you can ask them and say, hey, you know, where are we? But that doesn't work when you're working with individual entrepreneurs. So most business people, unless you're in the space, don't even think to do that. So we help you figure out how to navigate your business into the best possible position. And sometimes that means things like changing your insurance policies. Sometimes that means meeting the right people. Sometimes that means changing the language on your website or creating a capabilities statement which is almost like a resume for your business that institutions use. Because while you might speak with one person at this institution, they actually take your business back to 3 or 4 other stakeholders at their institution before making any sort of purchasing decision. So you want to arm them with a capability statement, sometimes a PowerPoint, maybe a good website or a video about what you do if it's visual, so that when they go to make that internal case, they have as many resources as possible. So like I said, it's a very different sales process. And a lot of our job at Page is to help you navigate that sales process so that you can be successful. The second thing that we do is we provide you with resources. So one of the reasons why I'm excited to be here is to speak about the Hurdle Fund. The Hurdle Fund is a grant program that we created at Page that helps eliminate some of these sometimes relatively high third-party costs that are required for small businesses to work with institutions. So that might be things like insurance, specialized packaging, very specific certifications or safety trainings that staff might have to go through in order to work with an institution. We can pay up to $50,000 a year, up to about $25,000 per grant to cover some of these third-party costs. Now, we can't give this money directly to businesses, so it's not operational support. But let's say you want to work with Drexel, but Drexel's like, hey, you don't have the right insurance to work with us, which is quite common. We can help cover the cost of 3 or 6 months of that insurance so that you can get that contract. And then once you have that contract and you're working at that scale, our goal is for you to be able to cover that insurance into the future anyway. And these are grant funds so that they don't have to be repaid.
And if I can just chime in, right there, is because we just had a major win together where a West Philadelphia restaurant, Supreme Oasis, give them a nice shot, really was able to benefit from this hurdle fund. And Kenyatta, when I first found out about it, I really tried to promote it out. Here's what I heard from a lot of business owners. Everyone was thinking, okay, well, I got to put my taxes out there. I got to go through a whole bunch of paperwork. I mean, it was almost as if they were saying no before they even let me finish a sentence. And so can you explain that, or explain more that this is not the traditional type of grant or loan out there that MBEs have become accustomed to?
Yeah, one of my goals in this role is to reduce the hoops that minority businesses jump through to get money and support, right? So I think being a business owner myself and having a great institution supporting us, and also having really great institutional partners, we're able to go out and say, like, yeah, we don't want to make this super complicated, right? This isn't a form to get a loan. You let us know, like, hey, we work with these institutions. We need this money for this thing. You give us the quote that you got from the third party, and you give us just a couple of statements, some information about kind of how this would help you grow and how this would help you get these contracts, which are important for your business. And using that information, our grant committee makes a decision on whether or not a business is qualified. We're not trying to get, 3 years of past tax returns. We're not trying to get financial projections. Maybe as we grow and we are hopefully able to give bigger grants in the future, we might make those grants a little bit more difficult to get, like in terms of requiring more information. But my goal is really to help businesses in the pipeline, because a lot of times it's short, right? Like, these institutions might know that they need your help 2 months before they actually need your, boots on the ground or your service provided. We want to make sure that businesses aren't spending so much time trying to get us information that they miss out on the contract, because, creating financial projections is hard. It takes a lot of time, especially if you want them to be relatively accurate, which they almost never seem to be. So we don't see any reason to make our entrepreneurs jump through those hoops unless it's really important to the information for the grant, which we find that it's generally not. So, like, Supreme Oasis was an approved caterer. And we knew from speaking with Alan, as well as from others in Drexel, that they liked working with this business, that they had done great work, and that they were hoping to expand. We also knew that with hopefully winding down pandemic, there's going to be more need for catering. So we were able to kind of put 2 and 2 together and say, okay, 4, let's give this grant. And it was a relatively short process. The product that they need to support with will take some time to be delivered, but that's going to be most of the time is us waiting for the thing to get here, right? We don't want to hold our businesses back through unnecessary paperwork. And even with Page, we try to get everyone rolling as quickly as possible. So you reach out to me and you're like, hey, I think that I could do work with institutions. we're trying to get you introductions to the right people as soon as possible. We're trying to, if we know of any potential contracts, have a really good understanding of how those play in and how your business could be included relatively quickly. And we're immediately giving you feedback because we know that in business, a month is a lot of time. And it can be really important that you get something done this month instead of next month for your growth.
Thank you so much. So, to me, when I first found out about this, the first thing I said, my ears went up like a Vulcan from Star Trek. And so please just let everyone know about your organization and how to get in contact with you.
Yep. So my contact information will either be or should be in the chat. Please reach out to me. Normally, I would try to reach out to the people in the group, but there's 100 people on this one. So I don't have that kind of spare time. I will throw in all of my information though. So please reach out to me, shoot me an email. I also add my LinkedIn page. It's a really easy way to keep tabs on kind of what's going on, what I'm doing. And I respond to LinkedIn really quickly because it goes to my phone. So in typical millennial fashion, if you send me LinkedIn messages, I will likely reply within 30 minutes at the latest. Not that that's a promise, but it's a good probability.
Be careful what you put out there. Be careful what you put out there.
Right. Fine print at the bottom. Not a guarantee. But yeah, so I will be posting that information. I'll also ask the moderators of this to send out a PDF with more information about the grant, kind of who qualifies and what our process is to all of the participants here. So you will have that as well. The grant is relatively new, so we're still building out our media presence around it. We're still adding information to the website and finalizing language, but we are also giving away money. So if you're looking for funds in order to work with an institution, please still reach out. And you will see a lot of this develop. And like I said, if you follow me on LinkedIn, which I think is one of the most efficient ways to get in contact with me, we will also be pushing out more information about the grant there.
Yeah, and I see some questions in the chat, but I'm going to encourage everyone. Your email is in the chat. Lily, if you can put it in there one more time, so it's fresh. But develop a relationship one-on-one with Kenyatta. He would be the first guy to hear about the resources. So it's always good to know the guy who's the first to know.
And also, it's even if it's a short conversation, it's really valuable for me to know about your business. A lot of our anchor institutions, which is what we call the big hospitals and colleges in the city, a lot of them will ask us for very random things with very tight deadlines. They'll be like, we need a bookstore that also sells coffee and can do these 3 things and can deliver. And I'm like, I have a list of bookstores, but I don't know who can do the rest of this stuff.
Right.
So even having a short conversation, I'm always up for, 30 minutes on the phone or on Zoom to get some of the details about the capabilities. Because what I'm going to see is caterer. But a caterer that can do an outdoor party by grilling food at a big outdoor event is very different than a caterer that does weddings, right? Or very different than a caterer that's going to do super high-end, rack of lamb for an internal small table event for executives. So I need to know more than that in order to truly be effective.
Absolutely. Kenyatta, in the presence of time, I want to say thank you so much. Appreciate you sharing this information, and I know that you are going to get connected to at least a couple of business owners on this chat today to help them over a particular business hurdle which they're having now. Moving along in spirit. Thank you. Moving along in spirit, we have Kevin Williams representing Drexel's Be Smart program. Kevin Williams is a seasoned veteran and well-established entrepreneur and CEO of Black Squirrel. He is a dedicated thought leader actively engaged with developing the next generation of founders. Kevin.
Hello.
Welcome.
How are you?
Welcome.
How are you today? Thank you for having me.
Likewise.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
In case everyone doesn't know, Kevin is my partner in crime here at Drexel University. We get a chance to partner and work together so much. So, Kevin, it is great to have you here today.
It's good to be here, and I'm glad to see some of the people that have come through our program, companies we've worked with. Supremo Waste is being one of them. I'm glad to see these people in the audience. So I want to say hello and thank you to everybody. So thanks for having me here. And I'm looking forward to talking to everybody. I know you started off by introducing me about the Be Smart program.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't know, so well, Be Smart, what is that? So I'll take a minute to really talk about what that is. The Be Smart program is an entrepreneurship program that I put together, literally cobbled together at Drexel University in an effort to help people that I engage with just about every day. You have people who are really good at selling pies, that you have people who are really good at crocheting clothes or great seamstress, or sometimes you have people who just have great business ideas and they want to be able to find a way to turn that into an entrepreneurship endeavor. And for a lot of those people, the idea seems overwhelming. And what I realized in the position that I have at Drexel University is you and I have a lot of resources at our fingertips. And by that, I mean, when we need to, so we want to talk to somebody and say, okay, you need a business plan. First thing they're going to do, they're going to get a blank stare and they're going to say, well, where do I start? What's a business plan? What are the different pieces? Well, we're going to give you the resources that are available at the university to teach you how to build that business plan. When it comes to talking about, well, how do you do a financial projections? We're going to bring those people into the room to actually show you how, step by step, in very small pieces, how to build out a financial projection. A lot of times people have the great ideas, they have the great products, and where they're going to have challenges are going to be how to build out the other components, the back office aspects of a business that are going to help you to be sustainable. Everybody here tonight talks about if you're going to go for a loan, or even if you're going to go for a grant, you have to have some kind of financials that you can show. You have to have some kind of a business plan or strategy to show how this money is going to help your business. And so if you don't have those resources available to you, you need to find those resources. And they're not always going to be within yourself. You can find those people that you can partner with. You'll find people that you can, at the university. We have access with MBA, whether they're professors, whether they're legal business lawyers, or whether they're accountants or CPAs. These are all people we have resources available as resources to help people build their business infrastructure. So when I talk about building the next group of founders, I'm talking about how we need to, as a people, as African Americans, how do we need to respond to the pandemic that we are experiencing? And one of the things when going into the pandemic, I have my own business, and a lot of the clients that I have, when it came time for them to apply for that PPP loan, well, all I had to do was pull their financials, help them submit the paperwork, and they got the money. But every last one of those people that I helped referred 3 more people to me and said, can you get them money? And guess what? At least 2 out of those 3 people didn't have the proper infrastructure or the ability to produce those statements. So I couldn't help them. So my mission now is to make sure that any small business understand how to have those pieces in place. Let's face it, you're not going to survive the next decade unless you have the proper foundation for your business. You have to understand what your financials are. You have to understand how to build your marketing strategy. You have to understand how to grow your business, how to make it scalable. It sounds kind of daunting, but it really is. If like Dana, and I really liked your story, Dana, but he's right. He's not the quarterback. He's taken the resources and the people that he needs in order to help build his business, right? He's not building the kitchen. he's making the cakes. He's building quality cakes because he has all of the resources, all of the things he needs to make that work, right? Now, for a lot of business, it doesn't matter what type of business it is, you have to have those same resources. And the basic resources is you're going to have a foundation from a financial standpoint in terms of accounting. You're going to have a strategy and a plan. A lot of times people don't understand that your plan is there so that when something doesn't work, you have the foundation by which to make sound decisions.
And without a plan to fail, right?
Exactly.
Now, Kevin, I really want you to talk to and let everyone to kind of see what a typical Be Smart cohort class looks like. Is breakdown some of the subjects that are covered. How long is a cohort, and also how they can get involved.
Absolutely. So first of all, we currently have one cohort every fall. I will say that because of the overwhelming number of applicants we had this past year, we had 89 submissions to get into the program this past year. And this past year was the second time that we had to do it virtually. With that kind of request, I want to find a way to add more classes. So we're looking to potentially add another cohort in the spring. But the program is 10 weeks long. And what we do is the core things that we look at is how to build a business plan, how to build a financial infrastructure for your business, how to market your business, and how to utilize technology for your business.
And some of the businesses that you work with are already working established, but still lack those structured, those major, that the right foundation as a business.
Correct.
That's been hindering them to be able to kind of grow to scale and capacity. And Kevin, I am looking at time here because I do know that we got to get to our dessert. Because you are the last bit of the appetizer. But how do people get introduced to Be Smart, and how do people really, I would say, get engaged and learn whether the Be Smart cohort is for them or not?
Well, actually, first of all, I'm going to tell you that the Be Smart program is for everybody. What we do in terms of a normal cohort for us, it will be any number of businesses at any stage. One of the things that we've developed for the Be Smart program is to figure out different stages. So we have 5 tiers that we run a business through, from absolutely having no business and just having an idea, to having a business that is generating revenue but doesn't know how to scale. And so when we go through these different stages with the business, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to assess each of these businesses to find out where they are. And when they go through the program, and let's look at it. Let's see, this last cohort, we had a seamstress who makes custom-made African clothes. We've had a person who does cupcakes and creates baskets for events. We've had any people who want to do daycare centers. We have people who already have existing businesses, have restaurants. So all of these, the cohort will have a variation of different people involved. And no matter where they are in that spectrum, we're going to make sure that we get the resources that they need. By the time you get through the 10 weeks of the program, one of the things that you're going to find out is that you're going to say, well, you know what? My product is sound. My pricing for my product is sound. We've gotten the coaches that are going to literally have a one-on-one coach for every participant to help you build your business plan, build your financial projections, assess what your technology infrastructure needs to look like. You know, a lot of times people think of social media as social, but for us, the social media is a business tool. It's how you communicate with your customer base. It's how you show exactly what you're capable of doing. It's your proof of ability to have your proof of concept. So when we go through that, by the time you come out at the other end, at the end of the 10 weeks, what we do is now we have a panel of funders that you're going to pitch your company and your product. And you're going to say, you know what? I need $15,000 for my marketing. I have a daycare center and I need a van and I need the proper digital infrastructure in order to promote my business better. So when you go through your pitch and present, you're going to show them your business plan. You're going to show them your financial projections, and they're going to say whether they're going to fund you or not. So in the last, go ahead.
Now, Kevin, I hate to cut you off, but the one thing that I do want our audience to see and understand, particularly between Be Smart and Page, is that the resources are out here.
Yep.
The financing is out here. The cash is out here. We have to get engaged to go ahead and use it and access
Absolutely.
it. Yep. Hey, Kevin, thank you so much. I really hate to cut you off short, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time. And we still got to get to dessert with Marcia and Craig Campbell from PGW.
Not a problem. I want to say thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to talking to each and every one of you. They put our website in the chat, but also you can reach me directly at ktw43@drexel.edu.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank
and
you.
now to our dessert. And when I say dessert, I'm talking about business opportunity. It is after you submit your work or finish your product and work service. It's about who is paying you. It's the institution. It's our anchor institution. So next up, Marcia Wallace. Marcia Wallace combines her passion and knowledge in equity and inclusion and community engagement in her work as the Supplier Diversity Program Manager at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. As Supplier Diversity Program Manager, Wallace will closely partners with various departments within CHOP, including supply chain, the Office of Community Engagement, clinical support, service departments, and other leaders and partners who work closely with external organizations and vendors. Let's have some finger snaps for Marcia Wallace, y'all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alan, as well as African American Chambers of Commerce for extending the invite to be on the panel with a wealth of knowledgeable professionals. I'm impressed. I actually took a lot of notes myself to go back to the team and share internally. So from a opportunity perspective, if you will, so King of Prussia was our second hospital, opened back on January the 26th. So there's a lot of opportunities at the King of Prussia location, as well as within the Philadelphia area. Some of the opportunities, bid opportunities in the Philadelphia area, I'm going to start with on the construction side. I may pronounce it incorrectly because I'm not from Philadelphia, but I believe it's called Schuylkill Avenue Research Building.
You got it right.
Okay, thank you. So Schuylkill, there's going to be an RFP that's going to be going out in mid-April for CMs. So contract managers, primes, who will have the opportunity, local, diverse, people of color, who will have the opportunity to bid on that tower, the research tower. In addition to Lancaster Specialty Care Center, there's another, again, same time frame, April, mid-April, there's another opportunity there looking for CMs, but under CMs, right, there's the sub categories where, there's HVAC, there's drywall, there's mechanical, there's electrical, there's a lot of opportunity in the construction space as CHOP continues to build, expand, and develop. Some of the things that I look for in the role is definitely having a capability statement. It's a quick one pager. It gives me a quick overview of your business, as well as it's a one pager that I can share internally with the leadership team. As we develop, as we grow, as we want to onboard, if you will, partners, firms, vendors, local, diverse vendors, people of color. That's what we're looking for, a one pager that I can share with the leadership team, who will, the decision makers, the stakeholders, as well as me providing them with input as to directions on who needs to be included within the RFP. I would say building relationships. I believe Rashaan mentioned this, like 90 days reaching out, and I would say even 60 days, just as a friendly, hi, how you doing? You know, we spoke a couple of months ago, just trying to determine if there's any other additional opportunities, making the connections, building relationships, establishing your network. That's really going to, you know, to help both internally as well as externally. And the secret sauce, I really liked what, you know, some of the things that Alan mentioned around the secret sauce, you know, having it was either Alan or Rashaan, having like an elevator speech, if you will. If you have 5 minutes or 3 minutes to share or to, you know, provide an update as to your business, being able to on the spot quickly, you know, within 5 minutes or 2 minutes, quickly tell me what you do, what's your capability, what's your scale, what's your bandwidth, you know, quickly let me know what your business is about. And again, I'll be able to share that, bring that back in and share that. So there's also some opportunities, which I would say pretty much would fall under the service side, but could also roll up to the construction. We're looking for janitorial services at 4601 Market. We're also looking for fire suppression and Abington, the Montgomery County, pest control, pressure wash at King of Prussia. So if any of those opportunities sound that they're in your toolbox, my information should be in the chat. Feel free to reach out to me, as well as when you go on the CHOP Supplier Diversity website. If you haven't registered, you know, register. There's a link for you to register, and someone from our team will circle back with you and connect.
Great. Marcia, thank you so much. And I'm so happy to get introduced to you from Paige, and then
Yes.
And then
Shout
2
out to
months
Paige,
later,
Kenyatta
shout
and
out to
Janelle.
Paige. 2 months later, we're actually working on an event together. So awesome for that. Thank you so much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, part 2 of our dessert. Craig Campbell from Pgw. Craig Campbell is the Supplier Diversity and Program Administrator at Philadelphia Gas Works. He manages, facilitates, and administers the compliance functions of the Philadelphia Gas Works Minority Participation Program. Craig also manages and facilitates all business processes related to the oversight of procurement communications, including internal and external metric reporting of the corporate-wide supplier diversity program for Pgw. And before my hair went out, before the pandemic, we went to the same barbershop and shared the same barber. How are you doing today, Craig?
I'm doing great. And I want to give a kudos to Alan, Drexel, and Regina and the AAC. This is a great event, action-packed, and myself and Pgw are definitely happy to be a part of this. So I'm going to get right into it. For those who don't know who Pgw is, we are a gas utility who services gas to the residents in the greater Philadelphia region. We have 2 procurement methods. The first method is our non-professional services, which is our RFQs. Some examples of those are construction, maintenance, as well as our commodities. Our other procurement method is our professional services, which is our RFPs. Some of those examples are staffing, IT, and inspection. Something that was a win for Pgw that we put in place in 2021 is our best value RFPs. That allows us to look at other things outside of pricing to award to contractors, and then we score. Some of those areas are supplier diversity, as well as past experience. We've had a huge restacking project over this last year that allowed us to put very high supplier diversity goals on those contracts. So we are very excited about that. The 2 differences about the non-professional and professional is that our non-professional is awarded to the lowest, most responsible bidder, and our terms and conditions are non-negotiable. On our RFP side, professional services, our terms and conditions are negotiable, and they're awarded to the client department's vendor of choice. In order to bid on any of our opportunities, you must register in our Pgw system. You will not be able to bid or even view the bids if you're not registered into that portal. If you visit our website at www.pgworks.com, You can navigate to that system, but again, it's very important. If you want to do any kind of work with PGW, you must be registered in that Pgw system. Some of our vendor engagement stuff we have in place for diverse vendors is we hold meet and greets regularly. That's an informal meeting to learn about your products or services. In that meeting, it'll be myself, if you're a diverse vendor, our sourcing specialist, the buyer in your area, and we try to have at least one representative from our client department. If you want to sign up for those meet and greets, like I said, we hold those on a regular basis. You can email myself or our sourcing specialist. We can provide all that information. Another vendor engagement we have is our Mbe Vendor Spotlight. We hold those meetings quarterly, and that's where we highlight a company and their products or services, and we have opened that up to our prime contractors as well as other departments, and that really highlights minority businesses. So that's another way, if you want to get engaged with PGW. Our overall inclusion goal is 25%. That went up last year. It was 22%. And as you see, we are increasing it. Just so you know, we are a gas utility. We do have a lot of specialized projects, but we do also have a lot of areas for inclusion. As of right now, our fiscal years from September to August, we're at 23.44% of that 25% goal. So, we are out here pushing, and, we are out here giving a lot of opportunities to minority vendors. Now, very quickly, I'm going to go over some of the opportunities that we do have that are up and coming on our RFPs, which is our professional services side. We have a groundwater monitoring service, Passyunk plant DCS migration, coding inspection services to support painting and gas processing facilities. We have low income weatherization installations, and we do have a best value RFP coming up for our general maintenance, and that's for facilities. On our non-professional side, we have our D contracts, which is our gas main projects. We have external corrosion direct assessment on Pgw 60 to 150 PSIG national gas mains without drilling through pavement. We have our Passyunk plant main gate house renovation, our LNG switchgear and MCC replacement at Richmond plant, our painting of the South LNG tank at Richmond plant. We have an 8 elevator maintenance facilities contract and sale of surplus furniture for facilities as well. Lastly, here are some of our commodities opportunities. There's a contract for Chevy parts and accessories for cars and trucks, including workhorse parts. We have a contract for FR and non-FR work clothing, that's fire retained clothing. We also have a blanket PO for oil absorbent pads for Passyunk and transportation, various lubricants, including motor oils, case tractor parts, accessories, and repair. We have another one for order of ball valves, furnished flexible graphite sheet, pipe nipples, second position for janitorial supplies, craft paper bags, keys, locks, miscellaneous repairs, office supplies for Pgw and outlying stations, lumber, wooden blocks, wedges, and plywood, and last but not least, carpet, flooring, and supplies. I can provide this list to Alan, but as you see, we do have, a variety of opportunities that cover all areas. And again, I just want to thank you to Alan and Drexel and the AAC for having us. And my information could be provided in the chat. Any questions, I'm available. Thanks again.
Craig, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate having PGW here, having you here. Haven't seen you in person in a long time.
Yeah,
but
sure.
One of the things, and I think everyone, for just allowing a few more minutes, one of the things I want to talk about too is that when we got a chance to hear about the opportunities from both CHOP and PGW, when you hear those opportunities, there's, you can go at them from two different perspectives. One as a prime, another as a subcontractor. So look at your marketplace. Go back to what Dana said. Wait for a quiet moment. Look at your marketplace and look at your competition, because sometimes your competition can also be your partner. And so I just want to kind of just to challenge everyone to thinking that way. But on behalf of Drexel University, y'all today, on behalf of the African American Chamber of Commerce, thank you so much for just taking the time, taking the quiet time as a business owner to really be able to listen to some about the new strategies that business owners are using, some of the resources out here available, as well as the right people to know to get connected to anchor institutions. So I always leave out in saying this. Today, I had a room full of over 100 plus CEOs that will challenge every opportunity. Take care, everyone, and I will hope to see you all soon. Take care.